Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by the Family Forest Carbon Program, where we help family forest owners get paid to improve the health of their woods. Well, it's June Dairy Month, but maybe this story you haven't heard about. It's by Shelley Detweiler, so let's give kudos to cottage cheese. Cottage cheese today is not your grandmother's cottage cheese with canned fruit. It has gone through a rebranding of sorts, like a revival. Once popular in the mid-20th century, it has now become the key ingredient, starring in viral TikTok and Instagram videos. This curdy ingredient provides all that extra protein that everyone thinks they need these days, going from yuck to on fire at record speed. Well, what's the backstory about cottage cheese? TastingTable.com states this creamy, curdy cheese got its name back when small farmers lived in cottages. Health conveniences of pasteurization and refrigeration had not come onto the scene yet. Excess milk would begin to sour, and milk proteins would start to curdle. These cottage farmers and their farmers' wives would strain off the whey, and a soft, curdled cheese would be made. Basically, small batch, family-made, frugal cheese making in a cottage. Then the perfect storm of 2 world wars, pasteurization, and refrigeration changed the trajectory for cottage cheese. Again, for June month, we recognize and celebrate cottage cheese as well. Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
Sunny and dry here for the rest of your Wednesday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. A quick look at that Ohio Ag weather update. No complaints here today. Beautiful sunshine, a little warmer than yesterday, also a little more humid. If you want to pay attention to something, take a look off to our west, coming across and out of northern Iowa, southern Minnesota here today and tonight, and moving into the Great Lakes region tomorrow. It's some moisture. I don't think this really impacts Ohio much, but we're going to deal with some cloud cover in northern and northwestern parts of the state likely as we move into tomorrow afternoon and evening. I won't even rule out a few spits and sprinkles in northwest Ohio. By and large, though, the bulk of the state stays dry through tomorrow and through Friday, looking for moisture to start to come together here on Saturday. So, including what we saw yesterday, that means most of the state seeing 4 days of warm, dry weather with good evaporation. Is it enough? That really comes down to how much moisture you saw ahead of this. Now, over the weekend, we have rains coming back. Showers and thunderstorms for Saturday midday and afternoon, continuing overnight through Sunday. Anywhere from 1/4 to 1.5 inches of precipitation out of that. Clouds linger on Monday before the moisture goes completely away. Then we are sunny and dry for next Tuesday and Wednesday. Overnight Wednesday night into Thursday of next week, hit and miss scattered showers are back up to 1/2 inch there. And we see pop-up showers and thunderstorms for Friday into Saturday and Sunday as well. That's a look at your forecast update. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Joining me is John Davis. We're on Garmar Farms, just south of Delaware. And today they are hosting, and by the way, today is Thursday, and they're hosting an international delegation. How long does it take to set up an international delegation to visit your farm?
This one actually happened really quick, and even the staff from the Ohio Corn and Wheat Growers were saying that it's a quick turnaround. Just so happened that I had my shop cleaned out for a graduation party for my niece. So this one was really quick. I think they've been working on this maybe for a couple weeks.
How many's in the delegation, do you know?
I think there looks to be about 40 or 50 people here. I don't know that all of them are from the Vietnamese delegation, but I think most of them are.
Well, when you hear that number, because sometimes you hear a group coming in and you think, well, was it 5 or 8? So 40 is a pleasant surprise. What have you learned from them so far?
I think one of the biggest things is they've got a lot of questions, and I found that really intriguing. Gave us an opportunity, and myself, we gave a little tour of the farm here and talked a lot about how we handle our grain and how we produce our grain. And I think one of the things I've learned is one of their biggest questions is some of the quality of product that they get from other countries, and as well as here, but they were very interested in what steps we take as producers to ensure the quality of our corn and soybeans.
Now, we think we're exporting a really good quality product, but the way they handle it when it gets there, pulverizing versus cracking versus maybe 2 or 3 other descriptives, they're looking for only one of those. So it's interesting how they're evaluating to get that corn kernel on their shore.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I learned from them was maybe something we need to look at, and I'm sure we are, is how does the product, once it leaves the barge or whatever and arrives in a certain country, how does it get handled before it gets to the actual user in that country? Because there's a possibility, it sounds to me like we're producing a really good quality product, but how's it getting handled once it gets out of our hands?
Well, there's several different increments in there, and when we compare ourselves to international customers, they may have a shorter season and a lot hotter, and we are proud of our season and what we can get production-wise. In order to meet some of those needs, I guess the only way to find out is they come here and check it out.
That's exactly right, and that's what these international trade teams are great to do. You get an opportunity to learn from them, and they get an opportunity to learn from us.
I talked to your wife earlier. You've had 3 or 4 different teams over the years here at the farm. Is this one any different?
They're all very similar. Yeah, they all have kind of the same questions. They're all very interested in the technology that we're using, whether that's precision farming or traits in the products. They're all very interested.
John, thanks for the update, and thanks for hosting our international guest today.
Thank you, Dale.
Oil futures were on track for the 4th consecutive daily gain Tuesday morning following the resumption of China-U.S. trade talks. On Friday, U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President talked directly for the first time since President Trump took office, which was followed by representatives from both countries meeting in London on Monday. The meeting continued yesterday. The NYMEX traded on the WTI July delivery up 19 cents a barrel to trade near 65.48. The ICE Brent for August delivery rose 24 cents a barrel to 67.28. The U.S. dollar index softened by 0.026 points, bringing it to 98.880. Two parties continued negotiations Tuesday, sparking hopes of easing trade tensions. Demand growth expectations were already modest prior to the tariff escalation, fueling fears of global oversupply, particularly in light of OPEC being seemingly committed to output increases. The trade prohibitive 145% additional tariff on Chinese imports to the U.S. instituted in April exasperated these fears and accelerated the decline in oil prices. Next, market participants are waiting the U.S. Energy Information Administration's monthly short-term energy outlook for June, scheduled to come out soon. Given recent tariff suspensions, microeconomic and demand growth forecasts will likely be subject to revisions and a higher degree of uncertainty. Back with more after this.
Soybeans are making waves in aquaculture. As a top protein source for fish farming, soy meal is essential for producing sustainable, farm-raised fish. With fish farming as the fastest growing food sector, soybeans meet the demand for eco-friendly, nutritious options. From soybean fields to fish farms, soybeans power the farms that feed families. Brought to you by the Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Whether you're in the fields or on the farm, creating a safer work environment has never been easier. BWC's safety consulting services are included with your policy premiums and offer training and education for everyone in your farming operation. It's always the right time to make safety a priority. Visit bwc.ohio.gov or call 1-800-644-6292. The Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation, here to help you work safely.
With the U.S. planting season winding down and winter wheat harvest ramping up, USDA will take another look at crop estimates in light of improving weekly conditions in this month's World Agriculture Supply and Demand Estimate, or WASDE report, as we often refer to it. It'll be out at noon Ohio time on Thursday. Thus far, for 2025, the corn growing season has arrived and advanced without many issues outside of planting delays in Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio. That may warrant further monitoring as June progresses. As of June 8th, the U.S. corn crop is 97% planted, exactly on pace with the 5-year average completion of early June. Recent weather has been friendly, pushing up crop conditions over the past 2 weeks, with 71% of the crop now in good to excellent condition. This strong start to the season has kept new crop corn prices suppressed and near 2025 lows through May and early June. For Thursday's report, USDA will revisit the U.S. balance sheets. Most of the focus this time around will return to old crop supply and demand, it is unlikely USDA will alter the 25-26 balance sheet drastically, preferring instead to wait for the findings of the June 30th acreage report to guide subsequent revisions. In yesterday's markets, July corn closed up 5 1/4 cents. December futures were up 2 cents at $4.40. Corn futures recovered from early session lows, hit on the fallout of improved corn conditions in Monday's USDA report. From a technical viewpoint, corn futures are becoming oversold in their short term, especially on the July contract, and thus far 2024 calendar year lows have encouraged buying, and Tuesday was no exception to that recent trend. In the weekly crop progress report on Monday, USDA reported 71% of the U.S. corn crop in good to excellent condition, as conditions have inched higher over the past 2 weeks. Top corn producing state Iowa, in particular, stands out at 85% good to excellent. The lowest rated of the 18 states reported was Michigan at 50% good to excellent. Meanwhile, Ohio was the largest week-over-week improvement, gaining 12 points to their good to excellent categories. For corn planting nationally, the U.S. crop is 97% planted. On the soybean side of things, July soybeans traded up 1 3/4 cents to 10.57 3/4. New crop November soybeans were up 1/2 cent at $10.31 1/4 cent. Soybean futures again featured a muted trade as investors and traders alike wait more news on the ongoing trade negotiations between the U.S. and China. There have been some positive statements regarding the talks, but nothing officially yet regarding potential trade agreements. Monday's crop progress report from the USDA saw soybean conditions on a national level improve by 1%. Iowa again stands out at 80% good to excellent, while Ohio lags the group at 53% good to excellent as of June 8th. For soybean planting progress, national progress remains above average for early June, and 90% of the crop rated or planted as of Sunday. Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio are again among the states to watch. For what it is worth, the Dakotas, Nebraska, and Minnesota have a final plant date for full crop insurance of June 10th. We're officially past that now, so we'll see. There aren't any considerable delays in those states compared to average currently, but next week's crop progress could offer more insight into what work is left to be completed during the late plant period. And in the wheat trade, wheat markets again traded lower Tuesday, with July Kansas City futures dropping another 10 1/4 cents to 5.27 1/4. Chicago and Minneapolis markets were also lower. Improved wheat conditions and the reduction of drought conditions across the wheat growing areas in the U.S. are the primary culprits for the strong selling to start this week in wheat futures. In Monday's crop progress report, national wheat ratings rose 2 points to 54% good to excellent. We'll take a look at the overnight markets after this.
If your summer road trip leads you to Ohio's farm country, be sure to share the road with Ohio's farmers. Farm machinery moves slowly, makes wide turns, and needs extra space to avoid obstacles like mailboxes and guardrails. Let's all be mindful and make sure everyone gets home safe and sound this year. This message brought to you by the Ohio AgNet, OSU Extension Ag Safety and Health Team, and this station.
Think biodiesel is just another fuel? Think again. Biodiesel is Ohio innovation on the move. Clean, green, and built to keep diesel engines running strong. It's an engine booster, a soybean supporter, and an environmental champion all in one. Every gallon reduces emissions, strengthens Ohio farms, and powers your ride. Drive with purpose. Choose biodiesel. Learn how at soyohio.org. Today's market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. July corn up 3 at 4.41 3/4. December up 2 1/4 at 4.42 1/4 cent. July beans up 2 3/4, trading 10.60 1/2. November up 2 1/4 at 10.33 1/2. July wheat up 4 1/4 at 5.38 3/4. September up 4 at 5.52 3/4. At yesterday's close, June cattle up 7 cents at 227.07. June lean hogs up 37 at $103.15. $2.15, and September feeder cattle up $2.05 to $312.75. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, everyone. I'm Dale Minyo. This is the Ohio AgNet.